Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to Solitude. And last time out we did put in our massive water park. Thanks again to Sully for early access to those unbelievably creative assets. So much fun was had putting this in. The link is now available in my community tab and on the episode description for those that want to have a look at those water park assets. Super fun. Please do come and share your creations on my Discord as well. I would love to see those. But for today, we have residential demand in Solitude. So we're going to be putting in some lovely beachside condos, some quite big ones as well, to frame the area around the water park. Plus a little bit of beach and waterfront detailing, maybe add another ferry stop as well, help the people of Solitude get around a little bit more easily. So that is the general plan for today. So we are working on this little area here next to the water park, and I really think we definitely need some sort of tall condos around this. So the ones that I've decided to use are actually this pack of Palm Beach condos, which comes from Thomas on the workshop. There'll be a link in the description for this video below. I really love these assets. They're super grand and fancy and a lot bigger than anything we get in the vanilla game, even if we tried to do a little bit of fusing. So I'm kind of content with using some assets for this area. I think it's needed next to our very asset heavy water park as well. So we're going to start by placing these in. Now we've got a couple of larger buildings which all have these like big entranceways as well. So we need to pay respect to that and add in some nice little driveways through them. I kind of think they almost look like hotels as well, which I think is quite a nice little touch next to our water park too. Kind of big touristy area around here. So yeah, let's add in a few of these and then we'll go ahead and position them. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of space here to put in some commercial down to a ferry stop and also metro as well. Because I'm very conscious if we just have a little look at mass transit. We've got the tram line coming all the way down from Serenity, around the corner, down to here, and also the metro as well. But then it stops quite abruptly, the tram line here, and I don't really want to continue it around these little mountain passes that we've got. We will come in and do some hillside building, which will probably be in the next episode to start kind of fleshing out this area as we head towards the downtown. It's not too far off now. And we'll fill this area out in a stream as well around our spa hotel. But I think if we link the metro up to the other side, then that gives people the option to kind of get the tram to here, then the metro across, and then maybe hop on a tram line actually to take them back round into the downtown. Maybe quite a nice touch here, or we could start bringing the metro above ground potentially into the downtown. We'll see, we've got a few options with this. But definitely ferries around here as well, because our last ferry stop is actually over by eBotanicals Garden. So we definitely want to bring that round, I think, and add in another stop in this kind of condo commercial area that we're going to be putting in here. So yeah, with leaving a little bit of room, what I do want to do is kind of position these quite nicely. So I'm thinking actually I'm going to put this one slightly further out. We're going to have to do a bit of terraforming around them to smooth that out, but that's absolutely fine. And then these ones are kind of interesting because we've got this little entranceway building alongside it as well. And actually, let's just not forget to clear out some of these trees as we go. So yeah, we can position this entranceway in between these two buildings quite nicely, I think, so we can have them on some slightly more interesting angles. And I want to leave a little bit of space in between these as well, because we can do some really nice path and park kind of detailing around them. And this one's definitely got to have a pool out the back. We're going to have space for that here, so I think that's certainly warranted for these types of apartments. So we can kind of position that in like this. We just need to be a little bit wary of blocking these windows off either side. So if we angle this round a little bit more, can we get to a point where the windows are all showing nicely? We can. That sort of makes a little bit more sense to me. And then we can just fuse this one in this side. And actually that's come out not too bad. Not too bad at all. And then we get this sort of slightly more interesting angle to that building as well, rather than it just being kind of placed very straight and a little bit more boring. So if we position it around like that, what we can do with the road, let's grab our unmarked suburban street for this. I feel like that would be the best thing for this area. And we'll bring out a road that is going to kind of hug these buildings a little bit. We're not going to go into them. I won't worry about that overlapping just for the moment. We'll bring it back down to connect into the road there. So it's a big kind of loop out essentially. Now let's use move it just to position this a bit nicely. I want a really nice space in front of here for something that we will come on to. I won't spoil it just yet. Let's just make sure these are all level height to this road here. So we haven't got any jumpy bumpiness in the terrain. So that is a lot better. Let's just smooth out this section here as well. We'll worry about the beach afterwards. That's going to need a little bit of smoothing out for sure. Avoid a little cliff edge that we're getting down here just towards the beach. Although we could kind of use that in sections, I think. Would be kind of cool. But we'll come on to the beach detailing later, like I said. But for now, we'll leave it like that. And then here, yeah, I'm going to use this one unit, one-way cobblestone lane to produce the kind of entrances for these condo areas. So this one's just going to come out very simply like this, I think. But what we definitely want is these positioned right under these archways so that people can kind of like drive in as if it was like a fancy hotel entrance is really what I'm going for here. So then, yeah, we just want to make sure this condo entrance is really nicely lined up over this cobblestone street because it forms such a like satisfying entrance, I think, to it. Yeah, I really like how these are positioned. And then we just obviously want to make sure that this road is nice and smooth out the front as well. We'll go ahead and do the same thing on all of these buildings. So like that will do nicely. We've already got a ton of people actually visiting these because they are all unique buildings. However, we've got massive residential demand and I mean they are essentially condos, really. That is what the purpose is. So we are going to change these to residential. I think I'm going to make them level 5. I think that makes sense for here. We're going to add in some services around it, so hopefully they won't scream that they're too high a level. But I mean, I've got that turned off anyway. And then in terms of workers' home count, I'm trying to think like what would be realistic for these type of places. So I'm actually going to say about 150 in each, I think. So we'll do that. We'll save and apply changes. We'll go through and do this to each of these. There we go. They are all now acting as high density residential and we're getting more people in from it. So that is good news indeed. Our budget did take quite a hit on the water park. So we could do with some more tax income, I'd suggest, for our residents for sure. So yeah, hopefully we'll see this go up from the 12,000 we've kind of been sat at for quite a few episodes now. We'll see that a little increase in that from these big condo apartments. I have actually put 200 in some of these. I felt like that was warranted. Maybe it's a little bit too many. You can let me know in the comments your thoughts on how big these should actually be. Now coming back to the little commercial strip, I definitely think we need some services and some commercial, like I said, in here. I think that would be relevant. So what I'm going to do is actually take a road and kind of follow this fence line down just a little bit down to the water's edge. And then we're going to clear the trees out before I forget. And we're going to start off by actually adding in our ferry line. So I'm just going to use a small vanilla stock for this. I don't think anything else is really needed here. I think it does the purpose all right. Like, they're not too bad looking, and now we've got the new ferries in as well. They make it much more enjoyable indeed. Let's just trim back this road a little bit and then we'll connect this one up. So this now will just come down into a very small little waterfront road here and we'll have a little strip along it. I definitely think we want some keys around this section as well. So let's go ahead. Yeah, we'll just use our simple seawall for this. We'll just draw that in alongside the road here and also the other side as well. We could potentially add in a few little kind of marina props to this area, which actually might be quite enjoyable, I think. Let's go right up to that fence edge and then that's the kind of border for this area. Just need to raise that up a little bit just so it's nicely in line with our ferry stop there. Same goes for the other side. Let's make that the same height there. And then we'll just make sure that these are further along as well. So that's all nice and straight and level to the road. We can have quite an abrupt end, I think, here. What I might do with the road is actually transition it into a little bit of a dirt road, perhaps here. If we see what that looks like. Yeah, this one's kind of light dirt, so I don't really mind how that looks. And we could even kind of bend it round the edge of the quay and sort of take it into the water as if it's like a landing place that people could take boats down, perhaps. Not too opposed to that. And then let's just make sure our land is nice and smooth underneath this. So we'll just grab the levelling tool and just push that up against this quay so that we're not seeing any of that kind of green cliff texture coming through. We'll obviously need to sort out the end here with a bit of detailing, but I don't mind the road too much. Probably going to complain that it's flooded a lot of the time, but we get used to that in Solitude. We get used to that. So let's then extend our ferry line down. So I do want to hug it actually quite close to the coast here. I think it would be quite a nice view going round past the big water park here. Might entice a few more tourists to stop off and visit. And then we'll obviously make sure we're making quite a wide berth around this little marina there and then flow in nicely. into our e-botanical garden stop, and then we can just grab this line. I wonder why it's saying it's not connected there. Check that out in a second. We'll just grab it and move it down to here, and then we'll need to manually add in our stops back in. So we'll drag one from this direction and also one from this direction, so it stops kind of there on the way back through to Serenity. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a few more people using the ferry. Like, this one is actually fairly well utilised if we go back to it. Oh, I said I said that. Literally no one's used it. The last time I checked there was like 26 passengers on it, which I thought was pretty good considering there is a tram all the way around. 12 passengers here. There's naught on that entire ferry. Is there anyone on this one? 2. Well, there we go. There's some utilisation. Another 5. It's just not amazing. I think we'll get more people using the ferry as we connect this up all the way around the coast. Like, it's definitely going to be a quicker route than driving for sure, and probably than going on these tram lines in and out of these different bays. So we'll have a ferry that comes almost direct across these bays. They're not having to go in and out. So yeah, I think once the ferry network is fully up and running, it will be a lot more enjoyable than it is currently. And then, as mentioned, let's also bring in some metro into here. So I am actually thinking we'll use the very small stop from Railroads of Japan. And I might just drop it here for the moment. We want some commercial in and around this. So let's take a little look at our low density commercial and see what assets we might like to have here. I'm thinking it's like a small local waterfront, like a little marketplace. Probably would be quite nice for some of the locals in particular as well. So we can just shift this metro station right up to the corner of that, and that will actually sit in reasonably nicely, I think. We'll connect that up in a second. I think some more like little cafes down here would be quite good. Potentially a mall cafe one. This is quite open at the back is the only thing with that asset. Yeah, not loving that one. Let's change that out. Perhaps we could actually use some of the African miniature assets here. Like this one sort of feels like a little bit of a beachfront bar type place and actually blocks off that little metro station quite nicely there. We don't go too close to it. So yeah, we'll go about there with that one. A little bit of a contrast to our marketplace, which I have realised as well has access points there. So perhaps we move all of this up just a little bit, and then we can make the marketplace feel slightly more realistic with a bit of an access point and kind of loading bay, etc. behind it. We could have one of these bars as well. The little rooftop is quite a nice kind of transition from the African one. We have also got things like Sky Bar Restaurant down on the beach. That could be quite a nice little touch actually. Yeah, let's go ahead and add that in. Again, we'll give it a little bit more breathing room to the bar next to it, but that gives us a little bar beachfront there. And then we definitely want services in here, so I'm thinking police for sure. I'm just going to use the very local small police station for this. I think it needs to be any grander than that, so we'll set this back slightly from the road here and do a little bit of detailing out front to make that feel like it's got more of an entrance. Maybe a little police car yard next to it as well. And then fire could actually just sit quite nicely behind the police station potentially. We do actually have this little sort of drive through on the police, so maybe the police car yard could be right behind it. We'll have it set off the corner a little bit. We'll bring that back round into a police car yard. We'll have the fire station set next to it, again with some fire trucks and things like that and the detailing as well. Now, the big thing that you guys all commented on with the water park is there is no medical centre as well. So let's rectify that. We have got this small clinic here. I think probably because of the water park, a bigger medical clinic is probably needed. So let's bring in this one. We're going to set it back a little bit and then we'll use our concrete roads to create a nicer entrance for this. So we'll just bring this out a little bit roughly for now, like that. And then we can move it just to perfect this a little bit better. So I would like to offer them a little bit more car parking too. So we could actually try and squeeze in one of the vanilla car parks next to it here. The concrete and the hedges kind of suit that little hedge on the corner as well. Again, we'll do some brush tool to make that feel like it's actually part of this complex. And we do need to level out the ground here as well because it's extremely bumpy. We want to bring in a little bit of a backyard around this condo. We'll probably do more around the others where there's a little bit more room for that. Then yeah, we can have some detailing out the front of this as well to help that sit in nicely. Let's just move that back a tiny bit. And then we do want to make sure this is sloped nicely down the hill. So let's grab our nodes there. In fact, let's use Network Multi-Tool for this. And we'll go from this node down to this node and just hit enter on that. It's a 10% gradient. That was quite steep, but I have heard that there are steeper. And that's actually not too bad, even though it is in the red there. So we'll leave that. And we just want a few more shops going down the slope here. Now I'm going to look for narrow ones for this because they sit in an awful lot better than anything wider when you've got a slope down like this. So I think that is kind of needed in this case. We could bring in more bars and restaurants. Probably prefer a slightly more shoppy looking area, if that makes any sense. And actually this asset, I'm kind of enjoying this. Where it's got the edge, it suits the slope quite nicely. We do just need to raise it up a tiny bit so that the bench isn't completely sunk in. And it may actually be better suited up this side. Yeah, because then it just looks like you're stepping up a step to get into the commercial. So I don't actually mind that too much. This one with the parking spaces on front is a little bit... That's, yeah, not going to work for me. So perhaps we go for one of these and we could just use this right up to the edge there. Raise it up a tiny bit so there's a slight step into each building. And then that sits in reasonably well. Can we continue this on down without it looking too strange? And that one's at a slight angle, so let's just bring that back in line. I mean, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. And then we definitely want a key behind this as well for decoration. I don't want to leave this slope like this. So I think, again, the nicest one probably would be the seawall key. I'm not going to bring stairs down the back here. I'll make them walk around, I think. Although we could, actually, we could bring stairs in at this point so that people can kind of come down to the beach. So, yeah, let's do that. So we'll just smooth this off a little bit. We really don't want the concrete probably showing at the back there. And let's just get rid of a few more trees here so we can see what we're doing. In fact, we'll go the whole way for now. Just so we've got a nice clear approach to it. Yeah, we do have steps now in there. I'm not opposed to that as an access point down here, down onto the beach. Let's just adjust that and make sure it's nice and straight across. Yes, that kind of works. We may continue on, but I think we'll probably just smooth this out and make the beach a little bit longer and wider at this point, rather than doing that. But we can bring in some connecting pathways here to make sure Sims can walk down this. So let's just grab our concrete path here and we'll bring that out to the road that side, and then similarly at the top here we'll join that up to the road over here. So there is now access there. We do just want to tidy up this bit here too. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I think that kind of sets my waterfront quite nicely. I'm not actually loving this marketplace asset. So I'm wondering if actually there might be a leisure asset that's slightly better suited to this. We could bring in a nightclub with the rooftop bar. It's sort of like you'd be looking down on it from up above up here. But I don't mind that too much. I'm not keen on the very brown colour of that. So let's just see what other default colours we get. Oh yeah, so a white, yeah. That sits in quite nicely. And then you've actually got the metro sitting right next to it here into this open plaza bit. So that sort of makes sense to me, actually. And then have we got any other kind of leisure or touristy buildings we could bring in this side as well? Seafood restaurant, actually. Seafood grill would be a pretty good choice for here. And we could just push that up to the back, potentially, of that commercial asset there. We just level it off to the height of the ferry. I think we can get away with that with a little bit of detailing and then maybe create some outdoor seating areas next to it, next to the nightclub here. Or the other option, of course, is to fuse it up next to the nightclub, which is probably a better choice. And then we've got this flat area out the front to work with, so that's sort of connected onto there now. Yeah, kind of enjoying that as a very small little beachfront there. A little bit of leisure mixed in with some normal commercial, I think, is a nice touch. Now, just thinking about the medical centre as well, I really think it would be appropriate to give it access into the water park so that anyone who was injured on the most dangerous slides in the entire world can just come straight out to the medical centre out this way. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's just move these trees off the pathway here. We'll kind of leave this pathway acting as a bit of a roadway. And what we could do with no controller is actually make it a little bit wider. Saying it's too close to a nearby node. So if we move it right back, can we then select it? No. Okay, well, instead of making it wider with no controller, let's just do a double path, actually. And what we can do with that then is just move it right up next to this other one. And so it makes a nice double thickness path going through there. Yeah, I think we can work with that one. Let's just grab a tiny bit of brush tool, tidy up that edge there. And then over this way, our fence is massively sunk into the ground now. So let's go ahead. We'll grab all props with move it. We're going to get all of those and we're going to go to terrain height and that should pop all of them back up. Yeah, exactly. And then let's delete out these 3. And then we'll put in some bollards here. Yeah, so that this can kind of be a little bit of a back entrance. I'm not really concerned about charging people into the water parks. I mean, the main entrance is just open to all of them. But we definitely want this as a medical security entrance there. So I feel like that sort of helps with that. We do have this light post, lamp post even, in the way. Let's turn collision off for a second. We just draw out a very small concrete road there. Then actually we get that connection onto the road, which helps to settle that in a little better as well. I don't want to fully connect it up because I don't really want vehicles driving through there. But yeah, I think that works. A little bit more detailing around the edges of these paths to get rid of some of that concrete effect will be needed here. But yeah. That gives access for our medical vehicles and our security vehicles to get right into the water park nice and easy. Okay, so I have just connected in our metro, so that's now hooked up into the main lines. Hopefully we'll get people coming in and out of there. I do want to create a crossing here though, so let's go to node controller. And yeah, if you're getting this issue, you can press Control Space to kind of step over the different nodes in an area so that we can select that one nicely. And then we'll change this to crossing like that. And then people can cross over from the metro onto the ferry if they wanted to, and vice versa. Oh, we've got a ton of people. I bet that's going to go down now that we've got the metro in. We have actually got a ton of people using the ferry line from here. That is awesome. Literally awesome. I am so happy to see that. I love people using ferries. Yeah, very excited by that. And then this also gives them ferry access, of course, now into the water park as well, because this is a path through. So yeah, we might actually see quite a few people taking that ferry option to get down here into the water park. They don't have easy access to that metro stop in Serenity. Right, so there is a lot of detailing to do around here, but one thing I do want to do before we come onto that is just talk about what we're going to put in this little space. Now, people on my Discord were calling for a castle mini golf build. If you're not on the Discord already, please do come and join us. It's a really fun community. I love all of you guys on there. Super fun. And some great ideas bounded around as well. But yes, they're calling for a mini golf course. So I don't have a whole amount of room here, and I didn't really want to put in a whole dedicated park in this area. But we are going to put one in here. So I have got the mini golf hole assets from the workshop downloaded again. So we're just going to go in and position them in a nice little kind of pattern around here, and we'll put in some cool props around it to make it feel like a little bit adventure-like. I don't have a whole castle I'm going to put in around this, unfortunately. As nice as that would have been, I have played around with the castle and I just could not get it to work how I would like it to sit. So I think this is the best option. So we're going to create this whole little area as being a little mini adventure golf course. yeah, that's the general kind of shape of our mini golf area, and I have just put in a little bit of surface painter, the ruined texture underneath a lot of the holes so our grass spikes aren't poking through. I've actually merged a few together as well to create a little bit more interest in some of the holes. There's some levelling to be done on these when we come to the detailing for sure. And then of course our little water feature, which is apparently flooding, but it's actually not, so I'm choosing to ignore the warning for that at the moment. It's just such a small area to put a water spawn point in. It's gone. It just doesn't like it. But I think it works quite well as a little water feature, particularly right outside the front of this condo too, so I'm kind of enjoying that. But the next thing I want to talk about is parking for all of these condos. Like, obviously, if they were hotels, you would have secure parking somewhere off-site, and equally if they're condos, I'm kind of thinking there's probably some underground parking in some of these. So I'm not going to worry about it too much, but it would be good to bring in some lots across this side of the road. Now, we are going to come on to fleshing out this area in another episode, so I'm not going to do too much with this right now. But let's bring out just a very small road like this that can kind of like wave itself up the hill and into the complexes that side, and then we can add in a few little car parks this side. Now I'm thinking with this, because we want sort of secure car parking for the condos, I'm going to go for the Japanese car parks because they have fencing and the barriers and that sort of thing around them, so I think they play themselves a little bit better for that more secure parking look. So let's just bring out a road like this for the moment, and we'll grab a few little parking lots. I'll add these on either side, and I'm thinking one at the back as well. I'm probably going to have to move it to get this into position. Yeah, so I'm thinking something like that should give a nice little bit of parking for this area. Obviously, a bit of work that needs to be done in terms of levelling these all out. These do not sit nicely on the ground, even in vanilla, actually, so they can be a little bit of a pain, these parking lots, but once they're in, they work really, really nicely because of those little entranceway and ticket booth detailing around it. So yeah, I'm thinking something like that would be all right for this. We'll position that more in the centre, so those gates are actually on that little road as you come in. And then actually, while I'm thinking about it, let's definitely remove the street lights from this little concrete road so that they're just not there. We can add our own in, but they didn't look right. Those sort of almost park street lights just don't feel right next to a big car parking lot like this. And then to help the pedestrians over the road, let's add in a pedestrian bridge as well. I'm thinking, I think it's the university one that gives a nice blue kind of railing to it. I feel like that would be quite nice here. So let's just bring that across, and we'll get this in super roughly for the moment, and then we'll make it look nice. Something like that is what I'm thinking, where it feels a little bit more equal. And yeah, with the blue railings, it's just a nice little difference to it from some of our other bridges that we have there, and then hopefully that will encourage people to use that rather than crossing the road here, and we can actually help that out with a bit of TMPE. So let's go into that, into our junctions here, and we'll turn off pedestrian crossings. Now it does mean those decals go, but that's fine. We can actually do a bit of IMT here to make this into a nice little junction this side. Okay, so that's kind of the main assets in, so we do want to come in with a lot of detailing now. Obviously, we're going to finish off our mini golf area. We'll fence in the entire thing, put a little ticket entranceway this side, try and maybe squeeze in a small food cafe thing at the exit over here. We're definitely putting a big pool around these condos, maybe some tennis courts out the back of here, and some nice outdoor garden, very heavily detailed areas around these. And then, of course, smoothing off this landscape with access to the beach. Now, the beach isn't going to be anything particularly special here, I don't think. We're going to come on to some more impressive and touristic beach designs over this side. I don't want the entire thing kind of cluttered with pure amusement parks as we go along here. So yeah, I think that's what we'll do for that. So we've got the water park, we've got a little bit of housing / hotel here, a little bit more touristy stuff, and then some more housing probably around this side. And then I think we're going to come into the port actually over here, because we've got a little bit more of a flat landmass that we can play with for our small port, for our main downtown. We're getting close. We're getting close. So yeah, there we go. We have our beachfront condos in, and this took a lot longer than I was actually anticipating because of all the props that are involved in this kind of build. So yeah, we have just added in pools to the backyards. We've actually got some functional seating around here. There's not very many people using it with these little connections down to the beach. Yeah, there's a few people sort of hanging around these ones, which is quite nice to see. Quite a few people actually walking along the beach every now and then too, floating up the quays, apparently. Wonderful. But yeah, we have managed to get pools actually in each of the condo developments. So this one was just a pool asset that I popped in and added in a few extra deck chairs around it, with lots of cabanas with little benches underneath it in the gardens around it. And then back here we've got the tennis courts, we've got a kind of restaurant eatery area. I'm thinking this is more of a hotel, this one. And then the big pool area at the back here. Really like how these tiles actually blend into this pool area. It feels very secluded back here. Yeah, really liking this vibe. Yeah, particularly like that condo. And out the front we've just done flower bed detailing. Very kind of keeping the Solitude jungle look into it. So it's a little bit all over the place, but it feels quite nice and homey, I think. A couple of little planters with some nice big pink flowers out the front there, and then as we come down we've got fencing all the way along. We have got these little private kind of hot tub yard areas for these rooms out here, which I thought was quite nice. And then yeah, lots of activity all around this area. Again, the pool's out the back here, but I think the condos seem to work pretty nicely indeed. They're quite grand on this waterfront. Look quite good, I think, up next to this water park. We'll get some more towers going up into the mountains around it as well, so that'll sort of build up in the height and the density too. But all in all, yeah, kind of pleased with how they've come out. And then the mini golf is actually quite a lot of fun. There's an awful lot of people using this park, so it's pretty cool. We did just put in a little eatery area with a nice cream stand at this end. Kind of blocked off some of the holes with tyres along the way. Did add in the clown face over here just for a bit of entertainment, make it feel a little bit more adventure golf like, and a grandfather clock. I was struggling to find props to make these more interesting, but I thought, hey, maybe the clock goes off when you get a hole in one. I don't know. I don't know. And then yeah, this one was a little bit of fun, I thought, with the stone archway and the walls going around it and the cabanas, the pergola roofing, whatever it is, shelter roofing over the top. So yeah, I kind of like that. Obviously our water feature has just kind of blended in pretty nicely. It does occasionally flood the road. You can see it a little bit wet here, but it is what it is. It is what it is ultimately. But yeah, then it just continues with these little tire decorations as we go round to the front, where there's a ticket booth, like kind of where you pay for your entry. Maybe you pick up your golf clubs from this little window that's currently shut before you go on to the little mini golf course. Of course, with the Solitude flag as well, standing proudly at the end here too. The car parks I haven't really done too much with. I've just touched it up with a bit of brush tool, but we'll come back to that area obviously another time. And then round by the police, just added in a little police yard around the back. I was thinking they could drive underneath here and into it, but cars keep parking there, so we might have to adjust that a little bit. And the fire station, a few little crack details around here as well, just to wear out those areas, and some puddles around the medical station there. Just made a nice front to it along this side. And then yeah, just really tidied all of this up, added a seating area outside the front of the seafood grill, some benches along the waterfront, a couple of little prop sims watching the ferries come in. And there's a lot of people actually taking the ferry, so the metro has not taken away from it. Actually, more people are taking the ferry from here than they are the metro, so that's pretty cool to see, I think, indeed. Then as we come along here, yeah, we just got some little benches, again, a couple more prop sims here and there, just to decorate them up. A clam shack, of course, had to, by the sea. We did add in a couple of little boats here too, just for extra decoration. We will do a big proper marina, several of them probably, around Solitude eventually, but just not yet. And then of course it comes onto our beachfront. So yeah, I'm kind of liking this area. It's very prop heavy. However, I think it feels pretty realistic for a little condo development out the front. Yeah, we are imagining there is underground parking, because obviously it wouldn't be ideal to cross the road all the way from these condo developments. But they've got pretty decent public transit links, and they can of course walk down these paths along invisible paths all the way along the beach to get to the ferry stop or the metro, however they would choose. But for today, that is going to be it. So if you have enjoyed the episode, likes, comments and shares are really greatly appreciated. And thanks to those of you on my Discord in particular for that little mini golf idea. I think actually it's sitting in quite well and I hope you like it and don't mind the absence of a castle too much. But that's all from me for now, so thank you so much for tuning in and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye!